what would make it more meaningful and memorable for everyone. Don't forget to take pictures. We get so caught up and we forget to take pictures or videos, record things, and just to have a time to sit down and say, hey, we're all going to sit here and just share how we're feeling. That's okay to do that. Savor every moment. Take it a moment at a time. We're right here, right now. That's where we are, no matter who we are. And so we got to take it a moment at a time.
Cancer is just something that we all have to recognize, acknowledge, cope with, live with, struggle with, rage upon, crush, and even thrive with. This show is more than knowing and fighting or beating cancer. It's more than just relaying science, hope, and technology. Together, our purpose is to demystify cancer, take away as much fear out of the diagnosis, treatment, and process as we can, defeat its grip on our lives. This is The Cancering Show. As we step into this holiday season, it's so full of joy and nostalgia and sometimes overwhelming emotions for so many people. We're going to discuss how to navigate the holidays while cancering. From cherishing moments to finding new ways to celebrate, Chaplain Kim Crawford Meeks brings her compassionate insight and practical advice to help us manage the balancing act between holiday cheer and the complex emotions that come with cancer. Whether you're a patient, a caregiver, or supportive family member, I'm telling you this episode is brimming with heartfelt stories, touching advice, and invaluable strategies to make this holiday both meaningful and memorable. So grab a cozy blanket, maybe a warm cup of hot cocoa, and join us for an uplifting cancering conversation with USA Health's own Mrs. Claus, Chaplain Kim Crawford Meeks. Chaplain Kim, welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
We are super excited to have you back. Your episode remains one of my absolute favorites and still kind of almost chokes me up when I listen to it again. So I think we have so much great information for our listeners this time around. And I'm super excited to have you in for this episode. I think the holidays are so sweet and so fun, and we're just embarking on that season. So many great memories, but also can, be hard for people. So we're going to talk about all of that. I wanted to open up. Tell us your favorite holiday memory or activity.
Well, I have a secret I will share with you.
Do tell us.
Yes, I am Mrs. Claus.
You are?
I am. Mrs. Claus is what I do in my spare time. And I have to run to the North Pole every night and help Santa prepare. And then I come here as Chaplain Kim.
That is very busy. That is
very busy.
Incredible. Do you have a reindeer in your garage?
I do. I do. Rudolph is in there. But yes, so at USA Health Children's and Women's Hospital, I'm Mrs. Claus. And actually at Providence and our clinics and University Hospital too. And Mrs. Claus goes around and she has treats and trivia. And we play trivia games, and the winner gets a treat off the cart. And also the tree lightings. So she'll be there with some Christmas joy.
That is exciting.
Yes.
That is exciting. Well, we are going to be talking about cancering and the holidays. And I wanted to bring you in specifically because this is a touchy subject for patients with cancer.
It absolutely is. The holidays are hard for a lot of people, but especially if you have cancer, for sure.
Yeah. Reminds me of that book, Bittersweet. I think when we're kids and we think of Santa and the holidays are only sweet. And then when you get older and you have a loss or there's somebody who's maybe not with you anymore or you have concerns that things might not always be the same. And this might be true for families of divorce or, who've moved or whatever, that then the holidays become bittersweet.
Yes, for sure. You think you're prepared and then it hits you out of nowhere sometimes too. And so that's what we're going to talk a little bit about today is what to do in all those situations.
Absolutely. So to put it in perspective, we are now entering into the holiday season. I finally getting to the point where I'm saying happy holidays to patients because I'm not going to see them again until after the holidays. And that includes Thanksgiving and Christmas. What are you and your family doing this year?
We have a brand new grandbaby. So we're going to have his first Thanksgiving and Christmas in Birmingham.
I love that.
Yes. He was born October 29th, almost on Halloween.
Yes, that is really sweet. I love it.
Yes.
And we are here for Thanksgiving, which is bittersweet in my family because most of my extended family is in South Carolina. And so we will be hosting our kind of maid family and hoping that other relatives can join us here in Alabama, and then traveling to South Carolina to see my whole extended family at Christmas. So everything comes with its own stresses and lists and things to do.
So true.
So talk to us about your advice for, cancering patients or cancering families who are kind of struggling with how to make a shift for holidays coming up.
I think if you're experiencing cancer or you have a family member that does right now, you have to first tell yourself it may not be the same as it always has been. Modify your expectations for certain. And that's okay. And you can even decide you have found something new you love that you will always want to do when you say, I don't have to do it the same way anymore.
I think that's fantastic advice. One of the things that we always think about for patients who are cancering, recently treated or currently on treatment, maybe even post-op or planning a surgery, that fatigue and energy levels can be unpredictable, and kind of taking that into account. I love that, to just really kind of change the expectations, go into it knowing that things might change at the last minute, and there's maybe a plan B involved or a plan C if plan A doesn't work out.
That is what I tell everyone that's experiencing any kind of grief or change or illness during the holidays, is to have those plans in place. You have your plan A, but have your B and C. What you don't want is to go in with only one plan and feel like you failed the plan.
Right.
You want to say, you know what, I'm going to plan B now. And I love that too. And that's okay too. Yeah. I'm going to walk my dog, or I'm going to the park, or I'm going to cuddle up and watch a movie or take a nap. Have a whole lot of plans, a whole lot of options. Give yourself options.
Right. Mm-hmm. And I think that, extends to the rest of the family and the caregivers as well, that sometimes it's okay to leave maybe patient and caregiver at home for the rest of the family or maybe out of town guests to go and do an activity if they're not feeling up to it, rather than force the issue. And sometimes it's okay to change the plan completely, and instead of going out, stay home and have an activity at home.
Absolutely. And have those conversations ahead of time. Mm-hmm. Don't wait until the day of, and just try to do what you've always done. Say, what should we do this year? And if you're the person who's experiencing the trauma, or you're the person with cancer right now, to say, hey, I want to have a conversation about this, and I've thought about some needs that I would like for everyone to consider for me.
That's a fantastic idea. Mm-hmm. That brings me to one, it's kind of not on our list to discuss today, but even needs regarding changes in food or specially prepared foods, or changes to the menu if there are certain smells or scents that might be off-putting. I am unique in this world that I find that pure commercialized pumpkin spice latte smell very off-putting, which makes it hard to go to Home Goods this time of year. And so it is, there might be some things, especially if nausea or low appetite are in the mix, to make sure that those considerations are taken into account as well.
Absolutely. And you can find a way for the family to enjoy that another day, another time, or at their own houses, and still have that. But when you come together, if there's some smells and certain smells or tastes or things that someone doesn't need around, that, let's just eliminate those from the big gathering.
Yeah.
Sure.
And for our cancering patient to really be upfront about those things, because otherwise feelings can get hurt if you're like, oh, take that out back, or whatever is the special thing that someone has prepared.
Sure. I'm allergic to onions, and no one understands it or believes me. So I'm the bad guy all the time, but it's true. And it does bother me, and I can't even breathe it. So it's okay to, say, hey, this is what I need, and can we put that outside or in another room, and that kind of stuff. So you have to advocate for yourself some.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Walk us through some of the emotions that kind of play into this. We talked about activities and food, and those are the things that come to mind first. But I think the undercurrent is always the emotions. the memories of previous Christmases, the concerns about what the future might bring, how the holidays kind of somehow bring that to just such a crystal point.
Mm-hmm. There will be a lot of emotions you expect and perhaps emotions you don't expect too. And I think there are several things you can do for that, and know who your safe people are in the family. You may have family members that you love to hang out with and see in the holidays, but they're not your people you can tell all those emotions to, and that's okay. Mm-hmm. You can do games with them or a craft or watch a football game, whatever. But know who your safe people are, that if you need to have a conversation about how you're feeling, that you can pause and call that person or go into another room with them and have a conversation and say, I'm really feeling overwhelmed right now, or I'm feeling afraid, or this is not comfortable for me. Mm-hmm. And maybe they can be a voice for you if you're not able to. Mm-hmm. So know those safe people for sure. And then know your own power words. So this could be a phrase like, I'm going to be kind to myself today. Or it could be a quote your grandmother told you, or something Winnie the Pooh said. He's very wise. And he could be a Bible verse or a lyric of a song. Whatever those words are that comfort you or give you that pause to say, I'm overwhelmed right now with emotion, and this will encourage me. If you have to write it and put it in your pocket, mm-hmm. pull it out and read it, or, wear a T-shirt that says it on there. Whatever, have some words that will get you through a really overwhelming moment too. That helps.
I love that. Can you name some specific emotions? I think we've talked about overwhelm. I think it's surprising for people to hear that sometimes patients and families experience grief while their family member is still with us, but maybe suffering from a terminal illness.
For sure. Anticipatory grief is a very real thing for the person experiencing the illness and for the family. And so sadness is going to be part of that. And you want to make meaning of it. You want to savor every moment as best you can, but there may be a sadness. And so I think being able to talk about that and giving yourself grace to cry if you need to, mm-hmm. to say, this is really sad for me right now, and I need a hug, or I need a moment alone, or whatever you need. Mm-hmm. And just to be able to say it and name it and to give each other permission to be sad.
And to really feel it.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have been working with some patients and learning a lot about emotional eating, for one. And there's a lot of different things that we do to shove down our emotions, whether that's anger or shopping online, which is high on my list as well. But that idea that you do these things instead of just actually feeling the uncomfortable emotion, and that mm-hmm. idea that you can just sit there and feel it and it's not going to kill you.
That's right. You absolutely can feel it. You're allowed to feel your sadness and anger.
Yeah.
You may be very angry that you're experiencing this, or your family member is, and how can I process that anger and still have a meaningful holiday? Mm-hmm. And that can look very different for different people. Some people like to go smash the dishes at the smash room, or I don't know what you call that, but I can't do that. But some people, that is very good for them. Mm-hmm. So what can you do to get this anger out? Certainly use words and talk about it for sure.
Yep.
But give yourself time. Put that on the schedule. Time to be angry about it.
How do you do that in the middle of kind of a busy holiday in a way that you can predict? Maybe you aren't feeling angry in that exact moment. How do you kind of allow that feeling to come?
I think it's a good idea to, when we look at our day, to start and end our day with a comforting, calming ritual for ourselves. Know what those are for yourself,
mm-hmm.
and plan your day to begin and end that way. And then throughout the day, you can plan a time and say, okay, for the next 30 minutes, I'm going to let my anger out. And that may be smashing the dishes at the place, or mm-hmm. drawing with bright colored crayons, or whatever you need to do, screaming, whatever you need to do. And say, I'm going to literally schedule my emotions. I'm going to give myself time. Or sadness. Barbara Johnson, years and years ago, that's how she coped. She had a whole lot to cope with. And she ended up having cancer later in life. And she's fabulous and wrote lots of books and used humor. But beyond that, she scheduled for time to be sad and angry. And so I learned a lot from her while she was cancering. And she would say for the next hour, I'm going to cry ugly and not care how I look. I'm going to put on the most sad music I can play and bring it out. And then I know when the timer goes off, I'm going to wash my face, and then I'm going to go feed the dog and clean the kitchen or whatever needed to be done next. She knew what she was going to do next.
I've heard people use that technique, particularly when there's a big family gathering that they want to be fully present for and to not be overwhelmed with emotions, that you can really cry it out before you go.
Mm-hmm. You sure can. And that's a great idea to try to process through that, because what we are taught to do usually in our culture is to try to just shove it down and never talk about it, never feel it, and put on for the holidays, the pretty bow on top,
Yep.
And
until it absolutely explodes
yes.
out of you into
yes.
the middle of the family gathering.
Yes, and then you may say something you didn't mean, and that's not how you wanted to say it or process it, and then there are all kinds of things to deal with. But yes, going ahead and planning that and trying to work through all that by yourself and with your immediate family is a great thing to do.
So let's talk about, how do you support friends and family who maybe it's not your immediate family, you are not the cancering person, but there is a cousin or an aunt or a family member that you're going to be seeing at the holidays. How do you support that person in their needs and their caregivers?
One of the things you can do is ask, how may I be supportive? What can I do? Can I come over and help you wrap presents? Do you need a ride? Do you need, how's the temperature of the house? Mm-hmm. Do you need an extra blanket for you throw or whatever? Maybe someone needs you to go to the grocery store for them. Or hey, I know every year you bake the turkey, but are you up for it? Can I bake the turkey this year for you?
Right.
That kind of thing. Ask, what do they need, and don't be afraid to talk about it.
Yeah. The one that comes to mind for me is decorating for the holidays. I think decorating for so many of us kind of lightens our life and really is a moment of joy. And it also takes a ton of energy and time. And for somebody who's cancering or their caregiver really might not be the thing that they prioritize. And yet, wished that they had or wished that they could.
For sure. And if you know someone's home alone, offering to say, hey, you want to go ride and look at Christmas lights, or do you want to go, look at the pretty houses, that kind of thing. Just offering, instead of waiting on them to ask you if they can join you, they may not ask.
I think that is incredibly great advice. And the last thing we talk about is, or the last thing I wanted to talk about is this idea that some patients may know, some families may know that this is their last holiday season. And, that's an overwhelming concept. It's overwhelming to think about. And yet it's a gift in its own way that there's this opportunity to cherish, to commemorate, to celebrate. How do you help families coping with that?
I think you really think about, what do we want this to look like? How can we savor this more? What smells do we want to savor? What moments do we want to focus on more maybe than we used to? Maybe we don't watch as many football games this year and spend more time talking or sharing memories or playing a fun game that maybe the whole family doesn't like, but some do. What would make it more meaningful and memorable for everyone? Don't forget to take pictures. We get so caught up and we forget to take pictures or videos, record things, and just to have a time to sit down and say, hey, we're all going to sit here and just share how we're feeling. That's okay to do that. Even if it brings some sadness, it's part of our humanity and part of being a family to have so many emotions. Mm. So sit and have a sharing time.
And any specific advice for children who are witnessing cancering and who know that maybe, grandmama might not be here next year, that kind of helping them cope with those emotions?
Yes, I think children love to make things for people. So have them make something to give them and make a video or picture showing them presenting that to the grandparent or parent. Draw a picture of them together, tell a story, that kind of thing. Let the child be very much part of the celebration and the gift giving of their own idea and of, whatever they want to do. We don't buy it and say this is from them, but let them go pick it out or let them make it. And let them very much have their own memories from that occasion.
And I know I said that was the last thing, but I can't have you here and not ask you, do you have any specific recommendations to commemorate a family member who's not with us at the holidays that it was unexpected?
Yes, I think not being afraid to talk about that person very often, especially if if the extended family comes, they're afraid to talk about it to the immediate family and to bring that person's name up. And most likely, the person that was closest to them needs to say their name and needs to talk about them. So not to be afraid to do that and to share memories of them, to have their special dish there, to hang some special ornaments. You can even get a ribbon and tell stories as you unravel the ribbon and hang the ribbons on your tree, and that way the ribbons are full of your stories.
Oh, I love that.
That's one thing you can do. So there are lots of good ideas like that you can find online just to create stories about that person and tell those stories and still celebrate them and include them in your holiday.
That's beautiful, beautiful idea.
Just savor every moment, take it a moment at a time. We're right here, right now. That's where we are, no matter who we are. And so we got to take it a moment at a time.
Well, I too think that, we just, every holiday is special and, we don't get that many moments to share with our family when you add them all up. And so for all of us to savor the season, because you don't know who will be around the table next year. And of course we come together every year to celebrate that we are all together. But I think it just is especially poignant to think about that fact that, every memory, every moment is to be treasured.
Absolutely.
Well, happy holidays, Chaplain Kim. Thank you so much for coming back to talk with us again.
And thank you for having me. Happy holidays to you.
Thank you so much for joining us on this holiday episode of The Cancering Show with our amazing guest, Chaplain Kim. We've navigated the complexities of celebrating the holidays while cancering, sharing stories, tips, and gentle advice to support both you, the patient, and you, their family, as you go through this difficult but beautiful time. From modifying traditions and managing expectations to cherishing every moment and commemorating those loved ones who may not be with us this holiday, we hope this episode brought you some comfort and some practical insights. Remember, the holiday season is about more than gifts and more than gatherings. It's about connection, it's about presence, and it's about love. Wishing you all a joyous and meaningful holiday season from all of us at The Cancering Show. With love. Take care. Thanks again for listening. And don't forget to submit your questions at www.cancering.com. We're here for all of those questions and we'll get you the answers. This show is brought to you by the University of South Alabama Mitchell Cancer Institute. MCI is a cutting-edge cancer research and patient center built to fight cancer smarter in Mobile and Baldwin County, Alabama. Our researchers and clinicians focus daily on the struggle against cancer, serving a potential catchment population of more than 4.1 million people, with a singular focus of advancing cancer diagnosis, treatment, and prevention throughout the Gulf Coast and beyond, with science, technology, and hope. Want to know more about the Mitchell Cancer Institute? Visit us at usamci.com or search for us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Mitchell Cancer Institute is a member of USA Health. To learn more about all of our hospitals, clinics, and services, visit usahealthsystem.com.